Oh, okay. It says I'm live. Good morning. And I'm home in my home studio after a nice vacation at the Grand Canyon. And I was trying to come up with some ways over the weekend. I didn't have time to work on the sculpture, so I'm going to be really working hard on it this week. But um, this raccoon sculpture that we started, um, I came up with a way that I can get it closer to you because one of the frustrations I had was you couldn't really see all the detail as I'm working on it. So I have this riser underneath my turntable, and I can move it closer. So what I'm going to do is finally get back to work on it, and if you want to see it closer as we go, just ask, and I'll move it up. But meanwhile, I fired up my um, computer here to YouTube to a video I particularly like on raccoons because there's a lot of parts in here I need to really observe. I don't know if you can see that with the sculpture in the way, but when you can see the animal up close, it really, hi, Mark, good morning. It really helps to um, learn about and try to decipher those areas that are covered by fur a lot of times in an animal. You go, what muscle is under that? It's uh, this is a very fluffy looking animal. So so I'm working out I decided to put a less strong light on just for this demonstration purpose. Let me even turn it down lower so it doesn't glare at you, and then we can get you close up. So I'm just going to start to work, and I'll try to be out of the picture a little bit while I'm working. And normally I would use my bigger overhead light, but it blows out so much detail that you really can't see what's going on. So um, I tried to experiment with my iPad over the weekend, but I couldn't get the sense of control that I could answer questions or really do a good job with that. So I went back to my main way of doing this, which is my MacBook computer, just so I can see what you're seeing and so I can answer your questions. So I did try to equal up this face. There's more to do, a lot more to do, and it's not a bare-faced animal. He's got plenty of fur on his face, but I'm going to have to very carefully articulate that texture because I don't want to lose the musculature of the animal on the facial balance and musculature. So I'm going to also try to continue. I did use a little brushing on this fur, but it looks a little bit like a rug, like a shag rug right now. And so I need to continue to observe and try to just approximate that look. You're giving the illusion. It's obviously not fur, it's clay. So you have to sort of give the illusion of fur. See if I can show you that. And if I can move this a little closer. There we go. That gives you a sense of what I'm doing right now. And so all of that detail I want to work out, but not to lose sight or sense of the anatomy and the proportion of the animal. And so we have two friendly raccoons here, which are they're quite a handful for these people, who I think one of them eventually got away. And but you can kind of see the different uh, muscle masses when they're actually playing. It's a different story altogether to try to translate that. Look at the shoulder muscles on top. That's very similar to if you tried to do a bear sculpture. And a lot of animals, small wildlife animals, have that same shoulder um, position like that. Oh, here we have to wait for an ad, but there's no sound on that. So I'll just start to continue on what I was doing. The other thing about these ears is because they're so covered in hair, I can get away with a little bit of fiction in terms of how the fur is going to go on the back of these. I'm going to look at let me see if I can skip an ad here. I can't. All right, that's a mid roll. So there's a little bit of fiction I can do, meaning I don't have to be completely accurate because it's so covered in fur. So I can just um, continue to refine these. I like to use these riffler tools. Um, I was going to show you again. These they have little tiny cuts. Here's a better view on the ends, and I think I got these from Geis Wine originally, jewelry supply place. There's a good picture. They're doing taste tests with raccoons here. But the other thing I wanted to show, and Cindy's not on yet, but and I'll just flip around to this for a minute. And I'm going to move my computer, like pan over. And you might remember the owl sculpture I was working on a few years ago. And I never completed it. So I had school. And what I'm going to do is get back to work on that. I know I've had some requests um, for showing what we've done on this, and we have for anybody who doesn't already have it. Let me turn this back around again. If you don't already have it, we have a study guide I made for the Barn Owl Sculpture Project Guide. So we'll get back, and there I have a few details. I mean, maybe a lot of details. I wanted to finish on that. What happened was I was interrupted because I enrolled in college at my age. Yes, I know. And I had to spend full time. You still have your owl. That's so cool. And you know what's so amazing is I now have really good access to. Oh, hi, Cindy. It looks finished. Oh, I I think from my years in the gift industry, I got so indoctrinated into what finished means because of the demands of the giftware industry. I had to have everything perfect, and you had to have it in a deadline too. So, I so that's so cool. So I will work on that this week. I want to really get this raccoon finished much more. And you remember the other day I started to put the background on. So I took these pieces off. I haven't worked on them yet. The corn stalks, and of course the corn will be right in between his hands. I'm going to detail those hands, and thank goodness for these live videos. Here I have again. This is a really old iMac I have, but it still runs videos. It's over 10 years old. And if you can stop the action where you need, like I'll just click and it stops it, I can see so much detail that even if you had, oh, hi, what do you study? Oh, and I just got my liberal arts degree so that if I want to teach, hi, Al, if I want to teach officially in a school, like I didn't get my degree yet. I'm just finishing it up, but I've got a handle on it. So I thought I've got to get back to this, but just liberal arts because what happened was right out of not finishing art school, I went to Tyler School of Art, and guess what? I got married to Chuck Oldham, the sculptor who we started this whole channel with, and we went right to work. We were hired right away to do prototypes for Franklin Mint, for Lenox, for um, Danbury Mint, all these giftware companies. I don't know if any of you are old enough, but back in the day, um, you would go on and open a magazine and it would say, 5 payments of 29.95, and you could get this whatever carousel horse or figurine. That was us. And now oh, thank you, Al. And so now, those things sit on your our grandmothers are dead, but I still have a lot of that stuff, of course, that we made. And but actually it was quite challenging because the level of refinement, as Cindy's saying, it looks done. The level of refinement that we needed to do was intense because in a finished product, you have to look at it all around and it's all refined to the every degree. And so that was the life, that was our job. So I did that for that was my career, next 30 years. And then I did a few other things with art and graphic design and website design, tried to transform myself. But finally, I realized if I wanted to teach in a, say, public school, just go around and teach art. And I like music too. You'll probably find out about that. And I wanted that degree. So I'm almost ready to get my degree. But I very dedicated back to this, especially I think you might have read without the time pressure. I don't want the time pressure anymore. I just want to enjoy it. And that's the way it should be. And in fact, and what I'm doing right now is I'm just close up on this. It's a lot of rough spots here. And I just want to get an accurate sense of the musculature before I start cutting fur back here. Once I cut the fur back here, I'll get that background started with the corn. And that is very forgiving. Honestly, arts like custom made sculpture need to make a thank you, Al, for saying that because arts like custom made sculpture, what happened was, and this happened to our industry, it all went to Asia. Places like the Franklin Mint decided, oh, this is going to be a lot cheaper to have manufactured. So they got in Asia, and so they got rid of all the little in-house manufacturing we had. Then the next step was those manufacturers in Asia said, oh, by the way, we'll do the prototypes for free now too. And they used basically slave labor and it cost Franklin Mint, Lenox, and those places almost nothing, and we were kind of out of a job, and so that's why we tried we tried to transition to bronze. Isn't that funny? Let me get up there where you can see a raccoon. There we go, we'll keep it still. We tried to transition to bronze, and it was very difficult. We had kind of waited too long. We had been in the gift industry making porcelain and resin for so long, that now the whole bronze thing, we went to Santa Fe and we couldn't get in a gallery there, and then we went to Sedona, and there were people in the galleries where it's Chuck started particularly, and they said, "Oh, he can't do animals or he can't do wildlife because we're doing that," and we it was just unbelievable. Oh, thank you about the teaching, Al. Yes. Oh, you know what? And hopefully, this will make a comeback, this kind of sculpture, because when you think about it, they'll all be broken or thrown away, and there won't be any more. And the Asian factories will have long stopped making them because they saturated the market back in the 80s and the 90s in particular. And it was not valued at all for a long time. So here we are, and I think also what I'm discovering is I can fire on a movie, I can watch movies for my school, and it's great because you can just chill out and, I've got my cup of tea and watch a movie while you're doing this. It doesn't really take away from sculpting because you kind of establish what you're going to do and you do your thinking, and then you have to do rendering, and the rendering itself takes a while. So um, that way you can sort of multitask and do several things at once. But anyway, let's see if there's any questions. So many nice comments. Thank you so much. But does anybody have just an off the wall question about sculpture this morning? Because that's what I hope to really be able to do with this channel. And maybe you can find people you say you want to learn sculpture. Let's go on here and ask some questions. Let's see. It's horrible that suits will straight to derail entire industries. Yes, it was exactly like that. It was really hard, especially toward the end, because it all just kind of evaporated right under our feet, and you did your hardest. So doing this for a living is, oh my goodness, that was a challenge. But doing it for fun, I almost forgot how much fun this is. And so you guys are going to help me enjoy this again. Which tool do I find the most useful for creating fur texture? Great question. So before Chuck passed away, he did a really good video on textures that I finally uploaded. He passed away in 2014. And so what I'm finding is I'm using different tools, but to do the same process. I like this hard paddle tool, because I can cut what I've done here is, and you're all going to find your own way, and having too many tools kind of doesn't hurt. Okay, I have one box filled with tools here. I've got 5 boxes behind me filled with tools. But you look at that fur on the raccoon, you go, oh my gosh, it's just one giant fuzzball. How do you make sense out of it? But when they move and when they turn, you can see shapes. that you would not here we go. Let's see if I can pick one out and show you how I would do this. All right, so I'm seeing some tufts. I'm seeing, can you see? Yes, where it goes this way, this way, this way. The fur is moving like that. So what I did here was I took my tool and I made kind of dramatic cuts in those directions, horizontally, gestures, drawing gesture team to be more exaggerated than the reference. It depends on your style. There are so many ways to approach this, and there's no wrong way, really. Sculpting from clay. What advice for someone started learning? Just practice, practice, and look at your examples and measure your examples. Maybe start with something inanimate like this jar. Now you measure it and you or you draw it and create measurements and like that. Now try to replicate those measurements. All right. Oops, I'm not in the camera. This is like really basic. And also what Chuck Oldham shows you with um, geometric forms. Measure and consider that everything is a mass of geometric forms that get smaller and smaller and smaller. And so they get combined, but you want to measure while you're combining. So let's see if there are any other questions. Keep watching. I'm going to be here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm really committed to sticking with this no matter what. And think of questions while you're working on something. But I will also create some new patterns so that we can follow along. I want to do the bobcat. Take a look at the past live streams. I want to do the bobcat and I really want to do the ringtail. So uh, somebody, oh, Cindy, do I work from top to bottom? I work once I get it in the measured, you do your basic measurements and let's take our pattern real quick again. And I want to show you, let's see where my body pattern is. Oh, um, be sure anybody who hasn't download this completely free. No, there's no email to put in or anything like that. I just want you to be able to follow along. Download this study guide that I made because this gives you those basic, oh, wherever it is. Well, I can't find it fast enough, but here's some other pictures from it. So you want to just get your basic measured areas like ear to nose tip right there. Okay. And now hope I can do this. I can never do this backward, but basically this matches ears to nose tip. And you'll find out how I did this oh, how to make a good income from clay sculpting. That should not be your approach because oh, I could do a lot of live streams on this. I think do it because you love it. I would have never stopped if I hadn't been jaded by trying to do it for a living for 30 years and having all the machinations and politics of that business and then going having them send the production to Asia and oh, and suddenly you're out of a job that you did very well. And that's what's so frustrating. Don't do it for a living. If you ever do make money with it, that's great. But start out because, wow, this is fun. This is cool. This is therapeutic. Makes me very happy, makes my family happy, you know, that kind of thing. And okay, so back to Cindy's question real quick about the fur. Okay, so Cindy, I didn't really observe on this side yet, but I'm going to guess from what I did on the other side. And I'm going to take this paddle tool that's a very strong paddle tool, and you can buy these like at Sculpture Depot. And I don't make any money. I do not want to ever make money again from sculpture. I just want to teach it. All right, so you just go and you make your cuts like you think your fur direct. And I'm going to recheck this, but I'm just demoing here. Make your cuts like the because also what you're thinking about is how short is each fur piece, each hair. You want to try to um, not like if it was long, I wouldn't do them that close together. I'm trying to say, okay, his hair is, whoops, there we go, a certain length. Do you see that? And so I do this first, and then once that's done, If you can see what I'm doing here, let's move it up close. Once I make those cuts that just kind of indicate the length of the fur, I might pull this down a bit like that. See how I'm doing that? And then the next layer, I go underneath it, but you think fur goes down like this, but the patterns of the fur actually go, oh, somebody's at the door, who cares? So the patterns of the fur actually go uh, with the musculature. And then once you have that, that's where you can start to get a tool that's a little bit more like that. See the tip on it? And you can start to make cuts like that. See how that would work? And then you can further articulate those cuts. So so anyway, I think I'm going to really get to work hard on this. So it looks like I've done something next time on Wednesday morning. And then uh, bake clay without the kill. Okay, this is a great question. Real quick, because then I have to go. This is modeling clay. It does not bake. This is used to make your model. On top of this, the professional way is to make a mold, and then you cast that in something. But what I would cast it in is plaster, further refine it. That's what we did with the gift industry. Make another mold, a rubber mold on top of that. And then from there, you can make it plaster. You can have it done in bronze if you have the money. So there's lots of options. I'm pushing this back a little bit so I can talk to you. But this is modeling clay. This will stay malleable. It's very hard clay, which I want for the detail, and it'll stay malleable forever. And you can come back to it in 3 years, like I'm going to do with the owl. But anyway, that's enough for today because I've got to go. But I'll see you all on Wednesday morning. And there were some great questions today. Al, thank you so much for coming back. Cindy, your questions are great. I really appreciate it. And of course, Mark, you're right there. I so appreciate that. And we're welcoming some new people, and that's great. So thank you so much. Bye bye.